So we are in the 9th chapter of Bodhicharyavatara, and I think we have gone through the stanza number 26, where it says, "Illusions are not other than the mind, you say, and yet you don't consider them the same. How could they not be different if the mind is real? And how can mind be real if you deny a difference?" So this is now the continuation of that. It's this is a kind of debate with the Chitta-matra, who are supposed to be saying that it's all mind only. Mind is kind of the truly existing, and everything else, or whatever experiences that the mind experiences, or all the other phenomena are illusory. So for that, Madhyamika is saying that if it is illusory, it should be the mind should also be illusory, because the mind and what is not illusory and what is illusory cannot be together, because the mind what all the illusory things is based on the mind, and so therefore is it same or not? And if it is same, then this all these phenomena should also be truly existing, like the mind. If it is different, then all this illusory cannot be dependent on the mind, because something that is existing and that's not existing cannot be together. Although it is unreal, this is now 27, a mirage can be seen, and that which sees is just the same. So this is whatever even there is something, if it is something unreal, anything can happen. Even unreal things can happen, like we can this mirage can happen, rainbows can happen, all these things can happen, although they are not real. But then if you think that mirage is unreal, but the mind that sees the mirage has to be real. It does not have to be, because the unreal mirage can be seen by an unreal mind. If mind is real and mirage is unreal, or the whole phenomena is unreal, if they are they are one or they are different. So if they are totally different, then there is no connection. If it is one or together or totally dependent on each other, then something that is totally different in nature cannot be dependent on each other. But then this is the main kind of intention of the Chitta-matra philosophy. But samsara must be based on something real, you see. There should be something, everything cannot be just unreal. There must be something real at the basis of everything that is there. So therefore, what is, so the mind should be the real, and then based on that, then the things, unreal things can happen or can be experienced, but otherwise, or else it's like empty space. If everything is unreal, then it's totally nothing, and then it's too much kind of nihilistic. Then there's nothing, and nothing can happen. It's just, it's totally, it will be totally empty and totally chaos and nothing. If they say that, that's the idea. Now 28. But how could the unreal be causally effective, even if it rests on something real? How could the unreal be causally effective? Unreal, that unreal thing has to, whatever unreal has its own causes and conditions, and because that's interdependently happening, that's illusorily happening, that's not totally real. So therefore, this is the Madhyamika's main contention, is that everything is interdependently happening. Everything is, therefore, because everything is interdependently happening, therefore it is, causes and conditions, and many causes and many conditions interdependently happening, and therefore it has no real, substance or real truth in it. There's nothing truly existing thing. Everything is unreal. Everything is impermanent. Everything is, arising and disappearing and things like that. Because if it is not unreal, if it is something truly existing, if it is something that is truly existing, then it must be one. Because if it is not one, then it is many, and then it changes, and then they can't be really truly real. And not only one, but also, if it is something permanent one, then it has to be there all the time, independent. It has to be independent. Otherwise, you can't call it one. So when it is independent and one, then, it cannot interact with other things, because, it's real, because it is independent. And when it is independent, it cannot be dependent on everything else. So if it is not dependent on anything else, then it cannot produce things, and others cannot change it, or it cannot be affected by anything, and it cannot affect anything else. So therefore, the real thing and unreal things cannot interact like that, because in order to interact, there should be, dependence. There should be, affecting each other. And if it has to affect each other, then the nature of that thing cannot be independent, cannot be, one. So, unreal be causal effective, even if it rests on something real. So therefore, you said that this thing, all this phenomena which is unreal. First, they cannot be cause and effects. They cannot have any cause and effects because it's not there. According to you, according to the Madhyamikas, it can be causally effective. Cause and it has to have lots of causes and conditions, and therefore lots of things happen because it's interdependent. And even if it rests on something that is real, it cannot affect each other, like I have already explained. This mind of yours is isolated, alone. So if you believe, you Chittamatra, that mind alone is existing, truly existing on its own, then, as we just discussed through the logic, it cannot affect it, and nothing can affect it, so therefore it has to be isolated. It has to be on its own. It cannot affect others, and others cannot affect it. And so therefore it would be alone, in solitude, and unaccompanied. So it cannot have any, This is not what of course, what the Chittamatra say, but this is what Madhyamikas, that if you believe it's the mind which is true and real and it's independent, and then everything else is unreal and not true, then the mind has to be totally alone and isolated and in solitude. And then it cannot function, if it cannot function. That's the main understanding. So I'll read this in Tibetan first. Chitri jama dem yo taji tekin taji yins. Katen korwa ngui tenche teni yin dan kantanjus. So that's the first 27. Ngui la tembi na shedun denpa chitrinjir. Choji sen na chumi pa jibin yutin jawayi. So this is the 27. Now, kanze sem ne zontalwa techi tamche tekin shi. Teta na yun sen tanta tola yun techi shi yus. So this is 29. And first let me read the English translation. 29. If the mind indeed is free of objects, all beings must be Buddhas, thus gone and enlightened. So what purpose can there be in saying thus that there is only mind? If the mind indeed is free of objects, if you think that all the objects of the mind is unreal, and mind is the only one that is truly existing and real, and it is not same, then mind should be always free from all these objects. And if the mind is really free of all the objects, that means that all the unreal things, then, the mind should be totally like undefiled. And if it is undefiled, it should be enlightened, should be Buddha all the time. thus gone and enlightened. It should be all the time like that. But that's not the case. People can become enlightened, but most of us are not enlightened. Although we have the mind, and the mind, according to you, should be free from, all the defilements and other objects, but it does not seem to be. So what purpose can there be in saying thus that there is only mind? So then, what's the use saying that the mind, there's only mind and it's real and it's, because we can see that mind is interacting with everything, all the objects of the mind. And if, and a mind is defiled, and so therefore, so therefore, you say that the nature of the mind is free from, grasping and grasped, and it's totally like, it's naturally free from all kind of negative things and things like that. And then if it is not affected, or if it, according to you, if it is separate from the defilements, then it should not be affected by that. So if that's the case, then it should be enlightened all the time. And but that's not like that. So then, the mind has to be interacting with the objects, and so therefore, your view that mind is totally only thing that is real cannot be true, because if that is the case, then it is not the way we experience. So, and also that even if there is nothing like mind only, which is truly, real and existing on its own, is not there. It doesn't necessarily affect that everything cannot be experienced, because everything experienced interdependently, and everything can be interdependent, everything can be impermanent, everything can be emptiness in its true nature, and actually, therefore, it can be interdependent, and therefore anything can happen, anything can arise out of anything. Therefore, the right kind of causes can create right kind of results, and every cause and every condition can change because there is no independent substance there. So this is kind of it's not about meditative experience, but that's debated. But it is the way you try to present that's debated. So this is up to 29. Thank you.